Welcome to the Wall podcast, brought to you by Wall EdTech, where your host, Jared and Kari Wall's passion for technology and learning come together to bring you up-to-date information on what's going on in and out of the classroom. From the latest apps and best practices to current trends, this podcast is Wall to Wall EdTech.
Hi, and welcome back to Wall podcast. Today we are on episode 14, and we are talking about technology from the top. Today we have a very special interview with Miss Nikki Lavergne, and she is the technology facilitator for Livingston Parish Schools in Louisiana.
We had a really great talk with Nikki, and we are excited to bring you that interview. In this interview, which we are calling Technology from the Top, we are going to get her perspective on educational technology training for teachers and what exactly they're doing in Livingston Parish Public Schools to get teachers more involved in educational technology and teaching them how to use it effectively in the classroom.
Right. They're really literally going places with technology.
Absolutely.
So the first thing, we want to get to our interview. So I wanted to make sure that our audience knows that we are still looking for comments or suggestions on tools that you use to reach your class when you have to be off campus, like you're not at school. So make sure that you check out our Flipgrid link. It is in our show notes. And let us know what you're doing to keep your kids busy and continuing learning while you're not at school.
Absolutely. Can't give up a day of instruction.
That's right.
Also, our next contest has started, and we are giving away a Christmas Goodie Box from Wall EdTech. So if you would, go to iTunes, go to Spreaker, or go to Iheart Radio, wherever you listen to our podcast, and please leave a review with some feedback on what you think about our show. Be honest. Tell us what you think. Just like our students, we want to know what works and what doesn't so that we can make the experience as effective as possible for our listeners. And that's really all the notes we have today. We're so excited to have had Nikki in studio, and we want to jump right into that interview. So without further ado, here's our interview with Miss Nikki Lavergne, Technology Facilitator for Livingston Parish Public Schools.
I am Kari, and I'm here with Jared, and we have a very special guest with us today. We have Miss Nikki Lavergne, and she is a technology facilitator for Livingston Parish. And so today we're going to talk about technology from the top and things that she looks at, that she has a different perspective than teachers do. And so we're really excited to have her here today. So, Nikki, tell us about your teaching experience, what you've got going on.
All right, first off, thank you for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
We're so excited.
Yes.
So teaching experience, I was at Doyle High School for 11 and a half years. Taught English plus a lot of other random classes thrown in, mostly 11th grade, sometimes 7th grade, but I have taught everything from 7 through 12. And so I've been at the district as the technology facilitator for about 3 years now, and it has been eye-opening.
Fantastic, and that's what we want to talk about today, and the title, Technology from the Top. People get to hear us talk about technology from the classroom perspective, and we wanted to bring somebody in who could let us know as teachers what is going on at the district, what are your plans, what do you want from us as educators, and so that's why we have you here today. We're so excited.
Awesome.
11 years as an English teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on 11 years as an English and social studies teacher, but mostly English at high school, so I know where you come from. And I think English is my favorite thing to teach, but social studies has been fun too. The last 5 years, I have been in a paperless classroom. So
Wow.
Hopefully, I know my son went to Livingston Parish Schools. Y'all don't have paperless classrooms yet, but I know you're working.
You know, there are a few out there that are doing it and they're rocking it, but very few.
But I know y'all are working hard on the technology, which is something I love to see. So talk to us a minute about yourself as an educator. What are your passions as far as education is concerned?
So as a teacher, I always love to have the kids be excited to show up to class. I mean, it's English. I love English, and they can tell if you like what you're doing or not. And they enjoy coming to class when they know you enjoy being there.
Absolutely.
I love it when students get involved, when they get engaged, and when they want to be there. And ironically enough, I came from a classroom that only had one device, the teacher device. So whenever we do any of this stuff, I try to keep that in mind because there's teachers like me out there that have almost nothing.
They do, and sadly, I'm in a district that offers one-to-one devices, and there's lots of teachers who still only use the teacher device, but we can talk about that later. You're exactly right, though. When students know that you love them and you love your content and you like to show up every day, they will show up excited as well. So I share that passion. All right, so let's talk about some goals that you have for teachers as far as technology is concerned.
So when they show up to our classes, any of them, our goal is take away 3 things that you can use starting tomorrow. We're going to throw a lot at them, and we tell them that ahead of time. It's going to be like a snowball fight. We're just throwing stuff at you. Take 3, store them, use them, and usually they go away with 3 or more things because that's our biggest. We want them to be able to use it tomorrow, not have to get trained on it, have to figure things out for themselves. We give them playtime so they can use it starting the next day.
I like that because we have been in some technology trainings where we felt like we were overwhelmed, but we left with the idea of something, but no way to actually to have to figure it out on our own was difficult. We think that's the biggest thing teachers face is I need to be able to walk in a classroom and have it work because if I'm struggling with it, then I'm going to lose control of my classroom and the learning's not going to happen. So we like the fact that somebody is actually considering that we need to be able to use it before we walk out of here.
Oh, teachers absolutely need that playtime, definitely.
And it's funny, on reviews that we get back from the teachers, that's their number one thing. We love the playtime.
Hands
I'll keep doing it.
Because you can mess up with somebody over your shoulder to help you fix it, and then you can get it working.
Exactly.
Yeah, so of course we know technology is also one of your passions, which is why you're in the position that you're in. And so how do you use technology for your own personal growth as an educator?
So the first one, O365, we're an O365 district, not a Google district, which is kind of rare right now. And O365 has this Microsoft educator community that offers classes, videos, and it's really, really good. Another one, strangely enough, is Twitter. Educators are using Twitter like crazy, and they're throwing out all kinds of videos, trainings, ideas, and so Twitter's been a really, really good spot to find some good information.
You're exactly right. We use Twitter to curate our professional development regularly. It's where we get all the tools that we're using in class. We find them on Twitter first and then go check them out.
Right. I find something that he would like and that he could use in his classroom, and he'll find something that I could use in my classroom, and we go back and forth, and then we share those with other teachers at our school.
So let me ask a follow-up question. The Microsoft Educator Training, it's O365, how you say it?
O365, because it's the letter O, Office 365.
Gotcha. So tell me about Livingston Parish's decision to go with Microsoft versus Google. What goes into that? Because I know lots of Google districts, but I know I talked to the principal at Walker High a few years ago, and he was telling me that Livingston Parish was a Microsoft district. So tell me what goes into that.
Really, they kind of did a lot of research on it, and they're noticing that a lot of colleges are using O365. Northwestern's one of them. There's a few more. And then offices, when they go into the real world, they're using O365 as well. So it really gives students a good opportunity to get used to that. So when they leave, they're just moving right into it already. Now, saying that, we have decided to start piloting a lot of Google classrooms. So we're kind of using both. We noticed that Google's really doing well with our elementary, and then O365 is working really well with our high schools. But we've got some high schools that are wanting to try it, and then our elementary are rocking O365 too. So it's kind of a personal choice almost at this point.
Now, in regards to high schools using the Office 365, I teach business, and so one of the things that we have to do is Microsoft certifications. So students have to get those Word, PowerPoint, Excel, all of those different certifications that they take through a national testing agency. So I like hearing the Microsoft side of things. I love Google, but I like hearing the Microsoft because it's relevant to my class and to my students and what they teach. And, we actually do job searches, and one of the requirements on a lot of these job searches is that you have to know how to use all of these different Microsoft programs. But
she will be quick to tell you that the crossover skills that you get taking Office to the Google side are important as well, especially since we're moving to a cloud-based world. And if you can learn how to use Office, you can learn how to work the Google platform as well.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of crossover there.
We've got teachers using both, and they love both, and it's just a matter, it really is personal preference.
All right, so we talked about how you're using technology for personal growth. Now let's ask, how do you use technology to facilitate what you're doing in your current role?
So my current role it's one of those expanding things where it's always changing. So I do the social media for the district. So I'm always on Twitter. I'm always on Facebook. And it's so funny because they like to joke, oh, you're on Facebook again. Yeah, y'all are paying me to be on Facebook. It's just one of those funny things. So we're doing a lot of push outs that way. And we're seeing a lot of success with parent communication through that because kids change their numbers or their addresses. They're moving all the time, but everybody's parents seem to have a Facebook. So we will get the information out that way. We've taught classes on Facebook and how to work it into the school, management. And on the other side, we're doing trainings, and anytime at the end of a training, we send out a Microsoft form where we can get survey results of what have we done right, what have we done wrong, what can we fix. I'm a huge feedback person. I thrive on it. I want you to tell me what I did wrong so I can make sure I don't do it again. And that's one of the things we push. We use Microsoft Teams as a way to do off-site training. We're doing that a lot. We use O365 to send out information. We'll do a lot of collaboration through it. We'll have a PowerPoint up, and me and my colleague, Lynn Kennedy, will work on that together in our offices, making changes. So we use it all the time.
Right. I like so I'm interested. So the Office 360, the O365, you're able to do collaboration like you do with Google?
Mm-hmm. So I can share a PowerPoint with her, and she can be working on the first slide. I'll be working on the second slide. We can edit, and it will tell us who's edited what when. You can even do a reversion. So if I get in there and she hates everything I've done, she can revert it back to the original, which we've never had to do because we're amazing together. But, sometimes you go in and you're like, oh, I accidentally deleted everything and hit save. Well, you can revert it back to a previous. It's really great for collaboration and screw-ups.
Nice.
Cool. Now, I want to just follow up. Hearing you talk about using Facebook with parents, and I know there was a push for a long time for schools to have websites and keep those things up to date. But I have found that you probably get more interaction from parents on a Twitter feed or a Facebook feed because everybody's on social media and nobody runs off to check a website. If you're pushing that information, y'all find you get better.
Yeah, what's funny is I run the website too, and I have diagnostics that can tell me how did they get to our website. And most of the time they got to our website through Facebook.
Gotcha.
They'll click on the link there and get to our website there. So Facebook has helped us in ways we couldn't imagine.
Well, I handle the website for my current school, and the principal handles the Twitter feed. And he is constantly posting pictures, and we have a feed that updates on the website. And it almost seems like redundancy for me to have to go post a news story about something that showed up on the Twitter feed 2 days ago. If you wanted to know about it, it's already there. So I'm almost to the point where just embed the Twitter feed or the Facebook feed and let it speak for itself. So I agree with that stuff.
So, well, you're talking about all of this, and then we're talking about as educators and how we're using about the technology. And from your side, what do you want educators to know from a district perspective? Because you have a completely different take on things. As teachers, we think, well, why don't they just let us have this? Or we have quick. Yes. But you have a completely different perspective. So talk to us about that.
So like I said previously, I was at Dole for 11 years, and it drove me crazy. Why don't we have this technology? Why don't we have this? And I would get so upset, and I realized the people I thought that could do the purchasing were not the people at all. There's funds that are specified for this or this or this, and sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. I've learned a lot about how that works. Another mistake I made was assuming that all of the schools were doing the same thing. Once I got up here, it was so eye-opening. I'm like, I never thought of that. I didn't know we could do that. I didn't know people were doing this. It was so important for me to have gotten out to see what everybody's doing. It's crazy. I just feel like teachers need to take an opportunity to go to a different school And I know it's impossible almost. We've got one planning period, maybe every day, maybe it's twice a week, just depending on your school schedule. It's really hard enough to see a teacher down the hall, much less go to a totally different school.
Right.
But if they get the opportunity to network with other teachers, just to ask what they're doing, I wish I would have done that. And I see the benefit now, because when we have cohorts where there's one teacher from every school, they'll group up and the stuff they come up with is crazy good. And it's just a little bit of conversation with somebody outside of your four walls.
Right. I like that. This year we were actually able to at our school during our planning period, it was kind of set, and teachers were assigned different teachers to go and observe their classroom. Mm-hmm. And the hope was that you would get some takeaway from what was going on in the class. So I think that's really cool that you get that opportunity. And of course I went in thinking, I want to learn something,
Mm-hmm.
Find something new. And so I did see some things, and then I also realized that, this person's class was not much different than my classroom, and I had really wanted to see something exciting that I could take back and do in my classroom. So I like the networking part, and to be able to see what other teachers are doing, because we don't get that opportunity.
No. I talked to a principal at this conference this past week, and she set up, the day before school started, a scavenger hunt. So she had a list of a list of all the classrooms, and every teacher had to go spend 1 minute in every other teacher's classroom. And it took like an hour and a half, and they all came back excited. They were, you get a little pressure. You want to do a good job because
right.
people are coming in, and then they were getting ideas, and they all loved it. And I was like, well, that's such a cool idea, because you just took a field trip down the hall, but they got a chance to see everybody's. I thought that was so cool.
It does sound cool.
All right, so what is your vision for technology in your school district? So we know what you'd like teachers to talk to each other, see what's happening in other schools, but what is in your position, what is it you would like to see happening in your school district down the road?
So our district goal is 1-to-1, but not in the typical sense where every kid has a computer and they take that computer home and that's their computer. Our goal is there is a computer for every student at that school, so when they walk into this classroom, they can log in, have this here. We've talked to other schools that are 1-to-1, and we have problems with some computers going home, not making it back, or coming back not charged, or it just seems like that's a whole mess in itself. And I like this goal in that everything stays at the school, but there's enough for everybody, which we're not there yet. I don't know when we'll be there, but we're making steps to get there. Mm-hmm. Personally, I really just want people to become more comfortable using technology. I mean, you can have these classrooms that have all these computers, or there's a cart of computers just sitting in the corner because it's overwhelming, and I get it. And it's scary because you have to change how you've done things, and change is terrifying. Baby steps. I just want them to turn them on, spend 5 minutes in it, play around. I just don't want them to be so afraid, and be a little more comfortable, come into our trainings and learning a few things about them.
And we have been in all of those situations you described.
Right.
We've been in a 1-to-1 school where the devices go home and come back. Mm-hmm. Right now we're in a school where the devices are 1-to-1, but they stay at school. And it doesn't matter how you set it up. The biggest issue is what you just described. There are the 2 or 3 teachers who use it, who love it, and mm-hmm. who know what they're doing, and they're not scared of it. And then there are the teachers who they just are sure the internet's not going to work that mm-hmm. day, or whatever this tool is, the kids aren't going to know how to use it, or it'll break. And so they leave them sitting in the corner, and they just keep doing what they've always done. And I think from a school level perspective, we work with our colleagues just to show them, here's what we're doing. And on our off period, somebody will say, oh my God, let me see that. That's cool. Can I do that? And we can inspire them from the teacher level. And it's nice to know that from the top, y'all understand that this is a difficult issue. And I do want to say, we've talked to Dr. Tammy Seneca, who's in charge of West Baton Rouge Parish Schools, and she says high schools are the toughest to work in, because you have to know you're an expert at a high mm-hmm. school. This is my content. I'm teaching it. So to get them to embrace something new and change the way they're doing things is almost impossible.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like the biggest hypocrite, because had you given me a cart in my classroom, I'd have been like, okay, yeah, but it's going to take them 20 minutes to log on, and then da-da-da-da-da. So, yeah, I get it. I feel like I know it. But now that I've seen it this way, I'm like, if if I had the opportunity, now I know I would have made sure I gave it a chance.
Well, I have a couple of things to say about it. First of all is that as far as the charging of the device and all of those things, I feel like that becomes part of classroom management. Mm-hmm. And so when your students know what your expectations are, and hey, Ms. Wall knows, I know Ms. Wall's going to use this every day. I know I'm going to have it charged, or there's going to be consequences. They will meet those expectations. So if you are a teacher who's a little bit leery of technology because you don't know if your students are going to have their technology ready, that comes under your expectations. The other thing I could do a whole podcast on is about teachers being scared mm-hmm. and about not wanting to use it and about failure. And, as a teacher, and especially of high school, middle school, when they're old enough to know you don't know, yes. That it is real, and you just but I can't tell you how many times I've stood at the back of my room watching everybody's computer, holding my breath, thinking, oh God, is it going to work? And then when it doesn't work, oh man, so hold on, let me go mm-hmm. fix it, And so I find that, as teachers, we want to have all the answers, and you don't want your students to see you fail. However, I think it's very, very important that students do see you fail. Mm-hmm. They see your struggles. And so when I'm trying something new, I tell my kids, all right, guys, we're going to try this and we're going to see what happens, especially your first class of the day, and they catch all your mistakes. And so I tell them this, and they sit back, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll have it worked out. Give me a second, and I'll do a few clicks or something. But I have purposely struggled through things. I will put it on the screen for all my kids to see. They'll see me get frustrated and I have to walk away. I'm done. I have to walk away, but they see that, and it's important that, and then you can use that mm-hmm. as learning opportunities for your students. So fear is definitely one of those things, and that holds a lot of teachers back, and you've got to embrace the fear, and just let them know, guys, I'm going to learn. We're going to try something new. I'm going to learn this. We're going to learn this together, mm-hmm. and let's see how well I do. And they're much more receptive, and and sometimes they'll even offer, hey, what if you click right there? Mm-hmm. What if you do this? So I think that's something teachers need to embrace with being scared of things.
It took me a long time to get there because I realized the last couple years, if you just fess up, hey guys, I really have no clue what I'm doing, but we're going to figure it out. We'll get through it together. If you see anything, let me know. And God, it went so much better when I just did that.
Right.
Now you say, for people who don't know, we do prepare in advance for these podcasts, and fear is actually what she wrote as one of the biggest challenges to the district goals. So we're actually right on track here. So let me ask you this question. And from your position, how can you help teachers to overcome that fear as a district tech?
It's just, one of the things is you don't have to change anything at all. I'm not giving you something like a brand new curriculum, because we all know for the first year after curriculum, it's just bad. Everybody's upset and it's horrible and it's changing. You're starting from scratch. Take what you're already doing, because it's already good. You're working it. Add a little thing here and there, or change a little thing here and there. There's this website called classroomscreen.com, where for the teacher who just has that teacher device and a projector, you can put up a timer and a clock and instructions and a voice control monitor all on one screen. That's very simple change. All you have to do is put it up there, and you'll see you're not going back and forth between different things. They can just look in one spot, and there it is. Tiny little changes. Then they'll start getting a little more curious and want to know a little bit more. Baby steps. Fear, like everything. I'm terrified of flying, but I get on the plane every time. So same thing. Just turn the computer on, get in, and see what happens.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Using it is the best way to learn. So what victories have you seen from your position as technology facilitator?
Okay, so we offer summer trainings.
Okay.
And usually we're like, okay, people are going to sign up, not show up. We might have a half a class. This year we filled up both our classes. We had to open another section, filled up both of them, had to open up a third section, and I was on, they were like, we're going to peel her off the floor. I was so excited and thrilled and yes, we have to make it awesome. And it's just, we're seeing people like it, they want to learn more, and they're showing up. So to me, that is the biggest success and victory.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We've started this new initiative called Learning Spaces, and it took a cohort of teachers, one teacher from every school, and we meet with them 5 times. And we've changed it this year. We're only meeting 3 times because we listen to feedback from teachers. And we just go over how to make your classroom more flexible. Most people make the mistake of thinking it's about flexible seating. It's not. It's about making your classroom work for what you need it to do that day. And we had a lot of schools opt out last year. Not a lot, a handful. This year we have 100% participation, and schools are sending extra people. So it's letting us know that they think what we have to offer is valuable. So then that makes us work really, really hard, because if you're missing class, we want to make sure that you leave like, okay, that was totally worth missing a day. Because I hated missing a day.
Yes.
So that's our thing. And they keep coming back. So right now we feel kind of victorious about it.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome. And when other people get excited, it makes you even more excited, which makes you even better at what you do.
I mean, gotta work really hard.
Yes.
And from a teacher's perspective, if they're missing to come to training, you're doing something right. Because we hear professional development at the district office and we think,
oh gosh, I've been there. And I'm like, I've got to make sure.
So when they want to come, you're doing something right. So congratulations for that.
Thanks. But that's why feedback's so important. Because if they say, I felt like this was a waste of time, guess what? We're cutting it, because I don't play.
All right, so now we come to the exciting part. We're going to talk about some plans that have been put in place, and that includes one that has just been announced, and we've seen the videos and the pictures, and we've seen it on the news. Yeah. That includes the STEAM Express that y'all just rolled out. So tell us about some of these initiatives y'all have recently put in place.
Now, before you start talking, I see myself as this little cartoon character with my arms jumping up. Tell me about the bus. Tell me about the bus.
I know. I'm going to make you wait. I'm going to save it for last.
Oh.
I know. I'm so excited about it. So I might do a lot of screaming. So
go ahead.
Okay. So we've gotten 2 cohorts that we've started. The learning spaces being one that I just talked about. I just went to a conference last week to learn about all this new seating. And my favorite part of the whole conference was this vendor was up talking about how important it is to have good seating in class so that your classes can be good and blah, blah, blah. And then this teacher said, I'm going to be real honest with you. Furniture doesn't make a class good. It's your teacher and the interaction with students. And I was like, bravo. Thank you, ma'am. Because furniture does not make a bit of difference if you've got a teacher who doesn't engage their students. Learning spaces is one that we try to talk about the new furniture, but we also talk about ways to engage them in whatever they're sitting in. Another one that we have is blended learning, where we're trying to overcome that fear. You put in a little bit of technology depending on what you have. You have a class set of devices, we've got ideas and solutions for you. You've got your teacher, we've got something for you too. So we try to address everything that's out there, and just here are some things that you can put in your classroom to make your life a little bit easier. And we're hoping that next semester we're going to do some satellite trainings. We'll have 5 schools, a training after school from like 3:45 to 5:15. Pop in no matter what school you go to get this quick. It's like speed dating, but it's going to be for blended learning. So come in, you're going to get 15 things thrown at you real quick, and then you can love it, hate it, or love it, be friends with it, and then maybe not, maybe next year, whatever works for you. So that one I'm really excited about, and I can't wait to see that happen. And then, of course, the bus. So we got this school bus that has been converted like an RV. So it was a process. I did not realize, it all started with Twitter. So when I got this job and they're like, you want to do social media? I'm like, absolutely. I'm so good at Facebook. And they're like, and Twitter. I'm like, great, I'll learn Twitter. So I learned Twitter. And then I found this article about a bus that was turned into a greenhouse or something. So I tweeted it out. And then I saw that one of our assistant superintendents liked my tweet. So then I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. So I went to tweetdeck.com, where you can plan out your tweets in advance, and tweeted out all these buses that had been turned into something else, and kept saying, like, what if I got a bus? What if Lynn and I had a bus? What would we do with it? And then within 48 hours, they showed up. Hey, guess what we got? I'm like, is it a bus? And they're like, yes. It so happened that the assistant superintendent was also thinking about taking makerspace on the road. Like, how do you make a mobile makerspace? And so he was already on that train. And then we threw this out there, and it just like happy collision. And then a reality set in, and we're like, oh my gosh, we have a bus. And my whole thought was, we're going to tow it places and park it. And he was like, oh honey, no. If we're doing a bus, we're doing it right. So it has to run power. So it had to be converted to an RV style engine. So it runs on propane, or it runs through electrical, depending on where we're parked and what we can plug into. It's just crazy. I know. Okay. I know. It's the craziest thing. So we have these big carts, charging carts in there, and we've got iPads that are in there that hook up to Osmos, and they can play games from like anything from shapes all the way up to like big math. Then we have our makeys and our laptops, and it's just a huge undertaking. And our whole point was to take this STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math, out into the community, because that's where life is going, honestly. If you look at the jobs, people need engineering jobs. They need STEM jobs. And so we're hoping to encourage our community to get involved in this kind of stuff. That way, when they show up to school, they're excited to learn about these things in science and math. And so our bus is kind of like a taste of what they can get when they come to these STEM classes. So it's been really awesome and terrifying at the same time, but so far, so good. It's been a learning experience every time it goes out, but I like the way it's going.
Now, I saw that you posted pictures from the Livingston Parish Fair.
Yes.
Where you parked it and let kids and parents come in and look at it. So tell us a little bit about how that went, and then tell us what you're doing with it, with your schools in particular.
So the fair was our very first out there. Like, we put it out for the community to come, field trip day. There were about 1,000 kids, and I was a nervous wreck. But the bus is air conditioned, and it was really quite nice. The parents got on and loved it because it was a cool place to stop. And half of them said they wish they wouldn't have even bought fair tickets because their kids just wanted to hang out on our bus all day. I'm like, that is the biggest compliment I've ever gotten. There were some kids who cried when their parents made them leave. There were some who got on like 3 and 4 times. It was so great. I learned a lot. Like, we had all these activities set up. Well, there's 2 of us. So we spent so much time explaining every single activity. And in hindsight, and what we'll do in the future is set up duplicates. That way, you're not doing so much explaining, and there's more, there's more or less, easier on everybody when they get in that bus. It went really well for a first time out. Super excited about it. We've had a few outings since then, and our first school outing was last week, and it went so well. I showed up I'm not supposed to show up. They're supposed to be able to do everything. We trained all of our teachers, so they have to be trained on the bus before it can go to a school. And we trained them all. This is how you turn this on. And then we basically just gave it to them in a box and said, put it together, turn it on, get it to this. And they had to figure it out, because that's the only way you're going to learn is to play with it.
Right.
So they did, and they felt good about it. We sent it to a school. I was there, and I learned mistakes that I made when sending them out. Like computer logins. I forgot to give them the login and the password so they could log in on this kind of stuff. Silly mistake. I learned. Now we know we got to write it down somewhere.
Right.
But, like I said, every time we learned something new, it was a raging success. The kids loved it. The parents loved it. A lot of people messaged me and said, hey, saw it for the first time. Looks great. And I'm so excited and thrilled about it. We've got another outing at Live Oak Junior High coming up this week. Can't wait to see. And I'm literally across the street at the same time, so I know I'm going to be like a stalker, just eyeballing and watching to see how it goes. And knowing me, I'll just show up anyway. But I know it's going really well. Now, the school can only get it if they're tying in community. So it's not like a field trip thing. It's not I put it up at the school and the kids run through it all day. They have to tie the community in. And the reason we did that was the flood was kind of a catalyst for everything. After the flood, we emailed a bunch of companies and asked for stuff for a makerspace at the district level. And they responded. We got so many free things, and we wanted to train teachers and principals on the importance of makerspace and STEAM, and they loved it, and they started building their own on their own campus. And the community did so much for us. I mean, they changed their schedules around so that we could have these schools share spaces. It was a mess, and nobody really complained. They all just sucked it up, did what they had to do. And so this was kind of our way of how can we thank the community for supporting us. And so we're like, well, we'll support, the plans that we have by taking it out to them. So the schools can get it, but they have to tie the community in. They've got to allow parents to go through it, little kids, older people. I mean, it's just, there's something for everybody on there, and we want to get as many people as we can on there. Which brings me to the point, this bus was not paid for by school funds at all. It was 100% community donations.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
They saw the vision. They looked at it like an ice cream truck coming through their neighborhood, but instead of ice cream, we're schooling you guys and some fun stuff. And we got, fully funded through donations from amazing people, Assess the Need. All kinds of people came through and really just helped make this bus amazing. And it's not a bus.
No, it's by far.
It doesn't look anything like a bus.
No, it's the coolest looking thing ever. We don't want to call it the bus. But
Do you drive it?
I cannot drive it. And I keep joking, like, I need to learn how to drive it. And they're like, no, please don't.
Well, I mean, I always think about the magic school bus. So it should be able to, be a boat. It should be an airplane.
It should all of
everything.
that.
Well, I think about the more kids you run through there, 10, 15 years from now, how many of them are going to be working on an engineering degree and said, I walked through that bus and decided when I played with that, I could be a coder, I could go into science or engineering or whatever. So the possibilities are really exciting for.
That's what we're hoping for. And some of you see the kids' faces like light up. We have this makey where we made a banana piano. And the parents were just having a ball. And they're like, because, their parents, they get on and they're too cool. And I'm like, come play my banana piano. And they're like, what?
I saw a little video of the banana piano on Twitter. It was really cool.
And once they play the piano, then they're willing to just touch anything. So they're all over the place. Last week it was a carrot piano, and they're like, what? And they're smashing on the carrots. And then I've got parents building things out of magnets. I mean, it ends up being something for everybody. It's so much fun. It really is. I can play on there all day.
It sounds super fun. All right, so you told us about how it's fully funded by the community, and I know with technology it has to continuously be upgraded and things like that. So I'm sure you're looking for sponsors, right?
Absolutely. In many ways, like there's several ways you can help us out. Obviously, monetary is one. You can, it's tax write-off. Give us your money. We'll buy stuff to put on the bus. We'll talk about you, and it's a tax write-off. It seems like it's a win-win. But we're also looking for volunteers to help us work the bus. There's so many retired teachers who are interested in coming out and working with the community. All you have to do is go through a short background check and just to make sure that we've got some good, solid people on our bus with us. Right. But, there's so many ways you can help us out, either advertising, monetarily, or even through just donating your time or even your space. So, if you're wanting to help us out, definitely send me a message.
Okay, so Nikki's Twitter handle is @LavergneNikki, or she's available on Facebook. And then, of course, you could contact Jared or I, either one, and we could definitely hook you up to get you in contact with Nikki for any way that you can help. Would very much be appreciated.
And we will put these links in the show notes for this episode, so if you want to click and message her through Twitter or Facebook, you can do that as well. All right, well, we have passed. You were worried about this one.
I was.
But it seems like you got comfortable, and we managed to pass almost 40 minutes talking about
it was so fun.
Technology. So this is Jared and Kari Wall with Wall to Wall Podcast, and we have had a fantastic time talking to Nikki Lavergne. And we always enjoy talking to people who are as passionate as us about education, about seeing students and teachers succeed, and about technology, which when you throw that in there gets me super excited. So we have really enjoyed our discussion today, and we will be airing this on not this Monday but next. So we'll have a week to build this one up so you can tweet it out and stuff.
Yes, so
we really appreciate you being here.
Thank y'all so much for the invite. It's one of those things, I have a bucket list that builds itself. It's like I didn't know I wanted to do it until all of a sudden I did.
So you did.
And this is one of those things like I've always wanted to do. And I love y'all's podcast. I've been advertising it to my teachers all over the place.
And we appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
And, well, it's so helpful. And y'all are so local. So if I need help, I can just email you guys.
And we wish people would. If they're struggling with using something in the classroom, we use stuff every day. We're paperless classroom teachers. So we'll even do Google Chat and screen captures, and we'll do whatever to help people use it. So
and Jared, like we said, I've been in a paperless classroom for 7 years, and you've been that long as well. So we have failed and we have succeeded, and we get up every day and do it all over again.
And that's perfect, because I know there's some that want to do that, so don't be surprised when I send them your way.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Well, that was a fantastic interview with Miss Nikki Lavergne. If you want to follow Nikki on Twitter, if you have any questions or comments for her, you can follow her on Twitter at Laverne Nikki. That's at with a capital L, Laverne Nikki. And if you are wanting to support Nikki and the Livingston Parish Public Schools with either their technology program or their STEAM initiative, again, they're looking for volunteers for time or money donations, please message Nikki via Twitter. And I'll tell you one more time, you can reach her at capital Lavergne, capital NIKKI, at Laverne Nikki on Twitter. Well, it's been a fantastic episode on Wall EdTech. We learned a lot from Nikki, and we hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll see you next time for episode 15, where we will talk about how we're using Google Forms in the classroom. See you then.
Thank you for listening to Wall to Wall Podcast. You can get all of our podcasts by subscribing to Wall to Wall Podcast on iTunes. For more resources, visit walledtech.com. You can follow us on Twitter or find us on Facebook. Just search for Wall EdTech. If you have questions, comments, or things you want us to talk about, visit Wall EdTech and send us an email, tweet, or message us on Facebook. We look forward to hearing from you.